Hey everybody, my name is Jordan and this is Steven, and we are here on May the 1st for your first update video. If you're new to the church, or maybe you haven't seen these videos before, the purpose of them is to keep you up to speed on what God is doing in and through the life of our church. And man, we've got an exciting couple of things to talk about. It's been an awesome month in April.
It sure has. It's been a great month in April. We've had a lot of things taking place, from Compassion Sunday all the way through Palm Sunday, Easter celebration. So much fun.
Man, Compassion Sunday. Let's start there.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't aware, our church has basically said we're going to adopt a village in Kenya through Compassion. Our goal was to sponsor 500 kids, and man, the church just showed up so strong. And ended up sponsoring 803 children through Compassion, which is pretty cool because we're on the front lines of ministry. We're going to have mission trips going to Kenya. And man, it's going to be awesome to see this little village in Nairobi really flipped upside down by the gospel. And I can't wait to see what
It was such a great day, getting to hear the testimony from the lady that shared just about her life and her experience, and then watching our church both in the room, stand up and take packets, and then run out to the table in the commons and take more packets. I mean, we were looking for packets because just running all over the place to adopt people.
There were a lot of things that happened in April. I think about Compassion Sunday. We had our kids all led us in worship, and it was an awesome time to see so many kids singing praises to God and leading our church.
Yep.
And then, of course, Easter weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't say enough great things about Easter. Easter for us, if you don't realize this, it started in the jail.
Yeah.
We went to jail for a few hours on Thursday.
Yeah. I mean, Thursday, you think, okay, Good Friday, Saturday weekend, all that kind of stuff. But what happened on Thursday was really special. We were in the jail sharing the gospel, people responding to the message that you shared, Eric leading on worship, all that kind of stuff. Frank had organized that whole thing so well. And then turn right around, we've got a community egg hunt that night.
Yeah.
In the community, really cool, just across football field in Mosby Park. That was a lot of fun. And then we turn right around into Friday with what I think is becoming definitely my favorite service of the year. Second, maybe to Christmas Eve. Actually, I think I like Good Friday better.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It's just a special service. It's very unique. If you were in the room, you understand what I'm talking about. It was definitely a different flavor than Easter. We really tried to be intentional in remembering the cross and remembering what it was for Jesus to suffer for us and bleed and die for us. And we just walked through that day where Jesus really, he set up what was coming on Sunday, but we don't want to just run past Friday. And if you were here for that service, you certainly remember that service. And then we had a great luncheon after that. Yeah. And then 5 services on Saturday and Sunday. And overall, that weekend, we had 6,450 people on our campus. Of course, tens of thousands of people watched it online. We had 44 people get baptized in the waters of baptism in our service. Many more gave their life to Christ. And please be praying for our decision counselors and our team as they're following up those decisions and counseling them, just making sure that they're ready to take that next step of faith in their own personal walk with the Lord. Easter was an awesome weekend. But just a couple Wednesdays ago, you may not know this, we had a little event here on Wednesday called Dodgeball.
Yep.
And man, I sure was proud of our student ministry team.
Dodgeball was amazing. We look forward to this all year long. Dodgeball tournament, you play till you figure out who the champion is. There's a girls champion and a guys champion. It was an amazing night. But more importantly than who the champion was 5 people made a decision to follow Jesus. And so as we shared the gospel before the event even began, everybody had gathered in the worship center. It was packed full. And then 5 people accept Christ. We run out. Serious dodgeball tournament. Ben Garcia making the wild announcements. There was some ESPN, the Bulls music was playing, and we were serious, and it was great.
Beyond that, I was reminded at Dodgeball how many volunteers it takes to pull off an event like this. I looked around our campus, and there were hundreds of volunteers. I saw many of those volunteers serving on Easter weekend as well. And big events like Dodgeball or like Easter weekend at First Baptist Cleveland, they just don't happen without people like you who are willing to step up and serve and give your talents and your time to make an impact in what God's doing in and through the life of this church and the ministries. And so if you served at Dodgeball, if you served at Easter, man, let me just say thank you. I also want to thank our team. Listen, we've got a great staff, but the people I really specifically want to thank are the people that you probably don't know, people that are behind the scenes. There are people that are setting up chairs and taking out trash, and people that are pushing buttons behind the wall that you may not know by name. name, but let me just say this. If they aren't doing what God created them to do, these kind of things just don't happen. And so, man, we're just so grateful to see God using people in their gift mix and in their skill set to point people to Jesus, and really to use what God gave them and steward it in a way that's making a kingdom difference.
Yeah, it really does make a difference. It's amazing to think about, just as you look over the past month of April and all the ministry that's taking place there, knowing what we're looking forward to in May. I mean, this happens because God's put it within the heart of the people.
Yeah.
It's really special. We've got a lot of great things coming up in May as well.
Yeah, this isn't one of those churches that just hits the pause button after a big event on April and says, see you guys in the fall. We've got a lot of things that are coming soon. And starting with May 1st, there's something called the Hoosier One Conference. If you're familiar with the North American Mission Board, this has kind of become one of their banner conferences. And we've allowed them to use our facility on May the 1st and May the 2nd for the Hoosier One Conference. You may remember a couple years ago, I did a series called Hoosier One. We talked about personal evangelism. We talked about praying for that one person that you were gonna make a point of prayer and emphasize an opportunity to share the gospel with that person. Well, this is the conference that we kind of piggybacked off of, and this is going to be a great way to become equipped in sharing your faith. My prayer is that God will use this conference really just to fan the flame of evangelism in your own heart, and that you'll not only think about that person or pray for that person, but you'll become equipped to share the gospel in an effective way. So let me explain the Hoosier One Conference. First of all, my friend Johnny Hunt is going to be with us that Sunday morning. And then Sunday evening, we're going to kick off together in our worship center at 6 p.m. Now, this is a free event. You can find the information below to register so that we know that you're coming. That way, we'll have some food and some snacks for you when you're here. So go ahead and register, but be here at Sunday night. Sunday night's going to be a kind of a worship night. You remember also last month we had a great worship night where our worship team led us. Well, they're coming back for just another great night of worship. We're going to have Johnny speaking, but we're also going to worship with our choir, our band, and it's going to be a powerful night to kick off this event. But then that next morning, we continue in a different format. It's more of a workshop format where it gets a little bit more specific. You're going to hear from 4 different speakers, 3 good ones, and me. And so that starts at 8 o'clock in the morning here on our campus. It'll be over by noon. And let me just say, those 4 hours will be a worthwhile investment in your own spiritual walk with the Lord. So that's the Hoosier One Conference, and that is May the 1st and May the 2nd.
That's going to be a great conference. Johnny Hunt's always just so encouraging every time you hear him. And even tonight, 6 p.m., the rally time starts. We'll be kicking off. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And then we turn right back around, and it's Mother's Day.
Mother's Day's coming.
I've got a little Mother's Day shopping to do myself.
You do? Yeah. My goodness. I think all of us do. I mean, there's a lot of things happening on Mother's Day. We're going to celebrate moms in a special way. That's also the day that we're going to have senior recognition, seniors in high school, not senior adults. But we have a lot of seniors that are graduating high school, looking forward to that next stage of life. And we're going to take a moment and just celebrate their completion of high school. And that'll be a fun morning as really all of our young adults, our students are involved in that Sunday. And we're going to look forward to the summer because camp is coming. And so those of you who haven't signed up for camp, be sure and do that, because as you know, because we're at Camp Cherokee, there are limited spots. And so this is one of those sign up as fast as you can thing, and you can get more information on our website, firstbaptistcleveland.com, under the events page. But moms and dads especially, sign your kids up if you want them to go to camp. May 13th and 14th, I'm going to be hosting a national conference here at First Baptist Cleveland called the Pipeline Leaders Summit. And at this event, it's primarily for young leaders in the Southern Baptist Convention between 18 and 45 years old. And yes, believe it or not, 45 years old is young in the Southern Baptist Convention.
All right.
And so these are young leaders, pastors, youth pastors, missionaries coming from all over America. They're going to be on our campus, and I've invited a lot of friends to be a part of that event. If you're a church leader, if you know a church leader in that demographic, I really want to encourage you to go to sbcpipeline.com and register. This is a free event for the first 500 people that come, and it's going to be a blessing. We've got some of the premier leaders and my favorite worship band in the country coming to lead for that special event. And then, church, if you're like, man, I love Shane and Shane, they're my favorite band too, well, get ready, because there might be a way for you to worship with us on Saturday night. I'm not making that official yet, but go ahead and pencil that in about 6:30 p.m. on that Saturday night, because it's going to be a special night of worship, and we might have a couple seats come available.
Maybe a couple.
Maybe. We'll see. All right? Once again, VBS is also coming up. We talked about camp. VBS is also coming up. That's the first week of June, right?
That is the first week of June. That'll be for pre-K all the way through rising 5th grade. So that's a whole lot of fun that week. Kids will be here in the morning. Starts about 9:15, goes to about 12:30, and it's just a great time for kids to. It's actually Spark Studios is the theme, and so there's lots of creativity taking place. Plus, it's a good time for your kids to hear the gospel and just be together once school's out and have a lot of fun that way. So, and always a lot of volunteers needed as well. I know PJ's working hard on that, Sharon's working hard on that, and Dalton's working hard on that to make sure we have a great Vacation Bible School. So that's coming up. You can register for that. It's a free event, but you want to register. Family night happens that Thursday night. So that's always a whole lot of fun as well. Bounce houses and hot dogs and all that stuff outside.
I just saw PJ and his team out in the Commons, and they're already getting ready. Listen, it is May the 1st, and they are ready. They are fired up.
Yep.
This is the premier event in our children's ministry, and we'll have a lot of different children around our city and really our region that'll come to be a part of that event. And like Beasley said, we're going to need as many volunteers that are willing to serve, and you can serve in a lot of different capacities. By saying I'll serve in VBS does not mean we're going to put you in a costume and hand you a microphone and put you on the stage. We need people behind the scenes as well. We need people to help pack snacks and help in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested in that, please don't hesitate and don't wait till the last second, but let PJ and his team know today that you're willing to serve, and they will put you to work. All right? But remember, that work is going to be a part of a huge event in somebody's life. You know, I think about in our church, I bet there are hundreds and hundreds of people that gave their life to Jesus at VBS.
Yes.
And so you think about, man, I get to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty cool thing.
It's always fun. On the day that the gospel is shared, you walk down the hall, and I mean, there's an adult with a kid talking about Jesus, sharing the gospel, and a lot of those kids pray in that moment to receive Christ, and that's their marker. That's the moment it all happened. And you think about whether you're packing snacks, you're on the recreation team, you're watching babies of the teachers that are teaching. I mean, however that works, whatever part you play, we all have a hand in making that happen. And it's just neat to watch God show off that week, because it's cool.
It really is. There are a lot of different ways people are coming to know Jesus right now. Yeah. But I can't help but think about a couple weeks ago on Easter weekend, where we saw kids give their life to Jesus in a field at an Easter egg hunt and barbecue that Mission 423 hosted. Mm-hmm. We saw people give their life to Jesus in jail. And I think about the jail ministry that the Lord has opened the door and allowed us to be a part of. And I just think, man, how many people in our church would love to be a part of that? And I may be speaking to someone right now that's asking the question, how can God use me? How can He use me in this city right now? And let me just say, there are hundreds of ways that God can use you, but a couple of ways that I'm seeing God really work right now are in our jail ministry. They're doing this every Tuesday. Yeah. They're in the jails. Yeah. And God may be calling you to be a part of that. Mission 423, we're in this city all the time, but primarily on Sunday afternoons. And if you're willing to give a couple hours on a Sunday afternoon to be a part of one of these Mission 423 groups, I promise you it would be incredible. The next thing that's happening through our local missions is our new mentorship groups. And Frank Walker and his team are building these mentorship groups, and they're starting training right now to prepare for kids that need a mentor. There are a lot of people in this community that don't have an adult that they can talk to and really grow in wisdom. And man, these adults, you yourself, if you're willing to be a part of the mentorship groups, you can make a huge difference in somebody's life. So pray about that, think about that, and ask yourself the question, how can God use me in the month of May?
And you think, I'm ready to get connected to do those things, all you have to do is go online to firstbaptistcleveland.com, look up that ministry. There's a serve opportunity. There's a form you fill out. Hey, I'm Stephen Beasley. I'd love to serve with 423. And then Frank and his team get in touch with you, or any other ministry. And throughout the year, there are opportunities to serve in a variety of ways. Think like Go Love Serve, which will happen in a few months. You can simply text the word serve to 74784 and get updates as they happen. Hey, we need 5 extra people to help with Rec at Vacation Bible School, or we need somebody that can drive a boat at camp. Just as those needs come up, that's a great way to do it. So go to the website, firstbaptistcleveland.com, look for service opportunities, or just text SERVE to 74784 and just jump in right where God's already moving. It's a good opportunity to get involved.
Yeah, it really is. Hey, for those of you who come to our church on Sundays, or for those of you who watch online, I'm real excited about the next series that we're about to kick off here in the month of May. We're kicking off a new series called Holy Land Highlights. And maybe you've never been to the Holy Land. That's okay. We're bringing the Holy Land to you.
Yeah.
And while I was there last time, we had the opportunity to shoot some on-location videos where we're going to be talking about what happened there. We're going to give you a visual of what it was like and what it looks like even today. And so hopefully throughout this series, we'll not only learn a lot from the Word of God, but we'll be able to have a visual perspective of what the landscape looks like, what the topography looks like. You'll be able to see and fully grasp where these things happened, and I'm real excited about this series.
That's going to be an awesome series because you can see the perspective, like how close are things together, or what did that really look like? And so there's a lot of great archaeology places and just a lot of the actual places where real events took place. And so those are going to be coming live by video, and of course, you know, you've got all kinds of just wisdom and teaching and the Bible understanding of here's what God was doing in this spot. It's going to be cool to see.
I can't wait. And it's really, really fun to know that what happens in this building on Sunday is broadcasted around the world. So now I'm going to take just a second and I want to explain to you some really exciting news about what's happening in the broadcast ministry. And I want to thank Stephen Beasley and his leadership of this thing. He's been over this thing since you were like 6 years old, I think. So
yeah.
It's real exciting to see how God's blessed that over the years, but also how God's teed it up for a whole new chapter in the days to come. And so we're going to talk to you about that right now. I am so grateful for the broadcast ministry of First Baptist Cleveland. First Baptist Cleveland has been committed to this for a long time, taking the gospel beyond the four walls. It started with radio in the 1960s and expanded to 3 stations in the 70s. Special TV programs happened in the early 1990s, and then in the year 2005, the church formed a media ministry and added a weekly regional television broadcast. Then in 2011, the church added live stream, podcast, and social media and apps, even the language translations. These outlets have already reached thousands of people, and many of you receiving this message first experienced First Baptist Cleveland through one of these outlets. And many of you watch, listen, and share these messages every single week, even today. Fast forward to the year 2020. Well, as a result of the rich history of this ministry, we were perfectly positioned for the pandemic and able to shepherd our people and our community digitally through a crazy season in our world. Our church met for 27 weeks online. And in that period of time, we saw hundreds of salvations and many new people introduced to our church through our weekly broadcast and also through the 150 episodes of First Daily. Let me tell you a crazy story. There was a person, not a member of our church, just a person, that watched online during the pandemic and, in his words, was so blessed by our broadcast ministry that he chose to give a significant designated gift that he asked to be used to expand our television and media reach. Well, we prayed for months and asked God for a clear direction on how to use these funds to reach more people. We thought these dollars were going to be used for additional airtime, to expand to a couple new cities. In fact, we had conversations with networks in Asheville, North Carolina, and Charleston, South Carolina. We even prayed about Chicago at one point. If we went in that direction, we would increase our exposure by up to 1 million potential viewers every single week. Well, that sounded pretty good to me. Well, fast forward to January. In January, our staff went away for a few days on an annual retreat. And in preparation for this retreat, I was reading my Bible one day, and in that time with the Lord, He gave me a single word that I believe was supposed to be our word for the year. It was the word more. For some reason, that word more jumped off the page as I read Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20 at the beginning of this year. That verse says this: "Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us, to Him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen." On that day in January, we started asking God for more. Something supernatural, something unexplainable. Truth be told, I specifically asked God for something beyond my imagination. And the crazy thing is, about a week after I prayed that prayer, I believe God answered it. That following week, I received a phone call from an old friend who now serves as the CEO of In Touch Ministries in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, if you're not familiar with In Touch, it's the worldwide broadcast ministry of my former pastor, Dr. Charles Stanley. Long story short, in this conversation, Dr. Stanley invited me to join him in launching something brand new. He's calling that something In Touch Plus. In Touch Plus will be a streaming channel like Netflix or Hulu. The only difference is In Touch Plus will be completely focused on preaching and teaching God's Word 24 hours a day all around the world. Dr. Stanley started In Touch Ministry 45 years ago in the year 1977, and he's always been a visionary leader. And today he's looking at the future landscape of TV, and he's seeing two different things. Number one, TV time is expensive on traditional networks. And number two, the majority of Americans are cutting the cable cord and switching to streaming services right now. In fact, 60% of people in America are now watching TV on a streaming network of some kind. So Dr. Stanley has invited a handful of people to join him in launching this new digital network, which will be broadcasted around the world. Maybe you're wondering, what is the potential reach for this particular opportunity? Remember, prior to this opportunity, we were considering investing in a new traditional TV market where our program would be shown one time each week in a new area and could expand our potential reach to 1 million different viewers. But with this partnership, what I preach here in Cleveland will now be broadcasted not once, but 12 different times every single week to a global audience. And each time it plays, it'll have a potential reach of 280 million homes around the world. In Touch Ministry has spent millions of dollars preparing for this launch. They've signed contracts and made deals with national leaders in other countries, which will give us the chance to broadcast in some of the most remote places on earth, places that haven't heard the name of Jesus. The only requirement? In Touch has asked us to come up with a new name that would be universal in language and translate to a viewing audience, like he said, in California or Kuwait. Once hearing this, we immediately put a think tank together and started talking about a name that would communicate the heart of this ministry. And we finally landed on the name All In. As you probably already know, I use that phrase a lot. I use it to talk about a complete commitment and surrender to Jesus Christ, both for salvation and for a life of discipleship that's constantly developing and growing to become more like Christ. And you know what? That's exactly what I'm asking God for. My prayer is that as a result of this ministry being broadcast across the globe, that thousands of people would hear the gospel and be saved. And I'm also praying that Christians that know their Bible would fall even more in love with His Word and grow to become passionate followers of Jesus Christ who live to make much of Him. Hey, this is exciting stuff. On June the 1st, All In will be launching on In Touch Plus all around the world. There are so many exciting details that I could share with you today. For instance, In Touch Plus recently signed a contract with Vizio TVs, which means when people buy Vizio televisions, they're already going to have the In Touch Plus app preloaded on their television. Think about that. All around the world, people are buying TVs, and now they're going to click on this link and be able to hear the gospel. There are great resources that are being compiled and produced even right now. A new website, goallin.tv, has already been produced and is now available for you and others around the world to visit today. There are resources being compiled. For instance, starting in June, there will be daily devotionals that are going to be available that you can subscribe to via text or email. So think about that. All around the world, people can subscribe for a daily devotional, and through text message or email, we can all be having our quiet times together. It's a pretty cool thing to think about this resource being available to so many people. And you know what's crazy? The cost of this entire setup, the name change, the graphic art, the new program, the editing for the first 6 months of shows, it's 100% covered by the outside funds that were given to expand this broadcast ministry, and they're not costing our church a dime. And here's what I want you to know. This is 100% a God thing. I didn't ask for this. You can't buy this kind of opportunity. But Dr. Stanley basically said, at 90 years old, I want to introduce my viewers to new voices. And for whatever reason, he's chosen to allow me to be one of those voices. Oh, by the way, did I mention the cost of this new venture? Normally, and you may not realize this, it costs 6 figures for just one international broadcast. Did you hear what I just said? If you wanted to take a message, a 30-minute show, and throw it out there to the entire world, to 200 plus million homes, it costs 6 figures to do that. So you want to guess how much InTouch is charging us to broadcast on this worldwide network? Not one time, but 12 times every single week? Well, get ready. You ready for this? They're charging us nothing. $0. Like I said, this is a 100% God thing, and something I never would have anticipated would happen. It was something so big that it's beyond my imagination. As we expand our reach, I believe it'll also expand our ministry here at the church in Cleveland, but also outside the walls of the church. And honestly, we're going to need some of you to step up and serve. Like right now, I can already tell you, if you know how to work a camera, we're going to need your help in the broadcast ministry. If you'd like to serve as a part of our extended family ministry, we're going to need people to step up and be on the front lines of praying for people and ministering to people that are viewing around the world. Listen, I believe God could use you in big ways as we connect with people that are connecting with us. You say, how do I serve? How can I use my gifts to be a part of such a massive ministry? Well, listen, you can find out more information about all kinds of service opportunities simply by visiting firstbaptistcleveland.com. You know, my first conversation with Alan Lockerman was one I'll never forget. In that conversation, he looked at me and he said, Jordan, I truly believe that you could reach the world from Cleveland, Tennessee. And I'll tell you, I heard him in that moment. I didn't doubt him when he said it. But today, I'm not only believing what he said, but I'm starting to see how the Lord is putting the pieces together for us to do just that. Please join me in praying for this ministry opportunity. Pray that God would be glorified and that Jesus would be magnified, and pray for the people around the world that will hear the gospel. Would you stop even now and just pray for their hearts to be soft and their ears to be opened so that they too can go all in with Him? God bless you guys. Thank you for being a part of our church. Thank you for loving Jesus, and thank you for making much of Him. God bless you.